The baseball writer, keeper of the score, sage of the story behind it, and one who must battle the paradox of intimacy coupled with objectivity when he's the writer on the beat.
I think to be a beat writer, you have to remember always that you're not part of the team, you are part of the public, you're reporting on the team.
And that's the biggest mistake to me that ball clubs make. They try to keep unimportant things secret. And all that does is exaggerate the importance of the subject, plus make you all the more determined to get at the truth.
95% really of what you take in your hours in this business is really off-the-record stuff, but it's background that you assimilate and you end up using.
There's so much access to the players in baseball. You can see them every day, you talk to them every day. In the NFL, you talk to the linemen on Tuesday, the running backs on Thursday, and maybe the coach twice a week. And in baseball, you talk to the manager every day. You can talk to anybody you want to.
We are the eyes and the ears of the fans. That's the way I look at it. You know, that's who you're really serving. Obviously, we're serving our papers and the people that are paying us. But to me, that's the job. We have access that the fans don't have.
Dan Shaughnessy, beat writer for the Boston Globe. He chronicles the Red Sox and writes a luxuriant Sunday column. His life is baseball, night and day.
I work at my office for an hour or two in the morning, working on the Sunday column. And I get out to the ballpark around 4:30, and we'll write for an hour or so before the game to have an early notebook sent in. We write all during the game to keep up with edition for night game, since we're a morning paper. We have early deadlines. And then continue up until about 12:30 after the game. I find the hardest thing to be the clubhouse. You know, the players they're bothered by a lot of reporters, and we become a nuisance to them, and I understand that. I mean, if I got bothered as much in my job as these guys do in theirs, I'd probably not really like seeing these guys come into the locker room either. Was there any interference down here?
Ball was in the stands. You know, they didn't reach out.
I think one of the traps in our business is to get too close to the players, and I think it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if you get close to a player, you can probably serve your paper better short-term and by getting scoops or inside stuff. But I think there's a payment to be made in the long run on that, which is there's an expectation that you're going to be good to the people who are good to you.
No. There's really been a lot of guys since Ojeda left and Tudor that I could really watch and really learn something from.
I'm really not willing to make that trade-off because I think you're compromising the truth if you do that.
Shaughnessy takes pride in his Sunday synopsis, one of baseball's best, and he strives to keep it unique.
There's a danger of calling too many people or getting too much stuff that's passed around, and you can become, first of all, you end up writing the same thing everybody else is writing. Second of all, sometimes it's unreliable. It's good to try and get as much original stuff, as much of your own stuff as you can. If you can talk to general managers, you can talk to players. When other teams come through town, you talk to their players.
So I just wanted to loop it out there, and I went, oh my God, they sprung me on the swing.
So they called the swing?
Yeah.
It wasn't a strike?
The ball wasn't a strike, and I wasn't even close to swinging.
Every game has a theme. That's the way I look at it. And sometimes before the game starts, you know what the theme might be. If Roger Clemens is pitching tonight, there's a good chance he'll be the theme. But so you sit back, watch it unfold, and find the theme of the game. You have to be able to gather facts, get them quickly, and present them clearly. And you've got to know the game. I mean, those are the things I think that are the most valuable. I think you've got to have a little fun with it, too. The people that have a little fun with it, I enjoy reading more because ultimately it is entertainment. It's not life and death. It's not war and peace. It's a game, and it's something that people do for entertainment, and I think we should contribute to that as well.
Long before Ball 4 broke the unwritten code of clubhouse confidentiality, another form of baseball writing emerged. With the long season and the pennant race, Cincinnati relief pitcher Jim Brosnan opened the locker room doors with the Baseball Diary.
To say that the 1961 season was something special is an understatement. As a pitcher, it was my most memorable moment in baseball. As a writer, winning the pennant was something of a bonus. We were not expected to win, but we did. That gave my book both focus and title. I dedicated the book at the time to my teammates who made it possible. That's the way I felt then. That's the way I feel now. Here then is our story. Like most baseball seasons in Cincinnati, the 1961 National League schedule opened to a packed house at Crosley Field. That was nice because after last year's 6th place finish and 6 weeks of a horrible spring training, Bedlam broke loose. We had done it, National League champions. When I started my journal of the 1961 season, I had no idea it would end up as it did. A dream season. I'll never forget it.
And then there's the baseball novelist like Mark Harris, a man as much at ease with de Tocqueville as he is with Dutch and Piney Woods. Educator, author of countless essays and a dozen novels, his baseball trilogy, Plus One, written in the Henry Wiggin narrative, is the foundation of his creative joy.
It's been a kind of a cornerstone of my writing career. I've been writing really, my first book was published in '46. I've been writing over 40 years. And the first 3 books, 1953, 6, and 7, have been a kind of an anchor of my career. Well, after The Southpaw was published, an event happened in my life on the University of Minnesota campus that provoked, so to speak, bang the drum slowly. That is, a student there was dying and nobody knew about it, and he died. And then I thought, well, suppose that were to happen on a ball club.
The result was a celebrated novel that 16 years later, Mark Harris adapted for the screen. For the first time outside of the reader's imagination, Henry Wiggin, the hard-throwing first-person pitcher from Perkinsville, New York, spoke to us through the fingertips of the baseball writer.
He really does try to honor other people's feelings, and he has a kind of a charm, and of course he has his own way of saying things. So that I think, partly what we like about Henry is the way he tells us his story, the kind of innocence, the kind of self-revelation that occurs that he doesn't mean. But I think the reason Henry writes his books is the reason that many of us write, that we have our experience, which seems important to us, may not seem so important to everybody else. You want to tell it. You want to tell your own story. So baseball gives you lots of thoughts about age and growth, experience.
For every season, there is a sport, but there's a mysterious, elusive quality to baseball that makes it oh so seductive to the writer.
It has humor, history, huge characters, and then it has a kind of magic. The bases are 90 feet apart, they're not 80 feet apart. The pitch is about 60 feet 6 inches. The geometry works. That's probably as close as we'll ever have to a perfect game.
I think the pace of the game, the fact that the game is not dictated by a clock, helps baseball. It's a slow game. It's a game that has time to think between pitches.
I don't understand why baseball seems to have attracted more writers than other sports. It's just a mystery I think I'll never solve.